Welcome back, pre-algebra students. We're on lesson 87 today. This one will go pretty quickly because it's mostly just a bunch of properties to memorize. And it's important that we do this because of when we get to proofs in your Algebra 1 class and Algebra 2 class. So let's start off with the commutative property. The commutative property says that when you have A plus B, that's the same as B plus A. This one is your additive commutative property, and then this one is your multiplicative, so for multiplication and for addition. If you switch the order of the multiplication, it also stays the same. It doesn't change the equation. And then here's two examples with numbers also. So commuting, we think of commuting like moving. So to commute, if you commute to school, that means you drive to school or you go to school. You have to move to get there. For the associative property, this is talking about grouping. So when you're grouping, your grouping doesn't matter with addition or multiplication either. So you can have A plus B grouped together and then add C to it, or you can have A and add the B and the C grouped together. Same thing with multiplication. If you have A times B and then grouped together with the C multiplied, that would be the same as A and then the B and C multiplied grouping. So here are two examples with the numbers. So associative property is grouping. Then we have the reflexive property. With the reflexive property, we're thinking like a mirror. So if the equal sign is a mirror, then what's on one side is the exact same thing as on the other side. So this would be like A equals A or B equals B. And then your symmetric property, when something has symmetry, that means the two sides are equal. And so then they can be switched around or flipped. So symmetric property would be, for example, if A equals B, then B also equals A. You can just flip the equation and it doesn't change the values. So this one would be same on both sides if you were to flip it. And then your last property is the transitive property. And the transitive property says that if two things are equal to the same thing, then they're equal to each other also. So if A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C. So if the first one equals the second one and the second one equals the third one, then the first one also equals the third one. So for example, y equals 2 plus x and z equals 2 plus x, then the y is equal to the z. So this says use the commutative and associative property to simplify. So when we use the commutative property, we're moving things around, and essentially they want us to look for two things that when you add them together, they're easy to add. So I see there's a 7 here and a 3 here. So I'm going to rewrite this 87 plus 13 and group those together. And then I see this is a 9 and this is a 1, so I'm going to add 49 and 51 together and group those together. So see, I've moved them around, that's commutative, and I've changed the grouping, so that's associative property. And then when I simplify, here I've got 100 plus 100, so my answer would be 200. And that's it for this lesson. Thanks, guys.